All right. Well, happy homecoming, Terps. I'm so excited to be with you all virtually. I'm really upset that we can't be on campus this year celebrating a real full homecoming week, but don't worry. The Alumni Association has planned a full week of virtual events to help us celebrate homecoming from home. So tonight's event is a virtual paint night. And so we will be learning how to paint a retro Testudo, and I believe it's from 1992. So super excited to do that. But before we dive in, let me introduce myself. My name is Mary Bathon. I work at the Alumni Association. I am the Assistant Director of Alumni Events. I plan all sorts of things like reunions, which are some of my favorite types of events to plan. So with that, I want to give a special welcome to the classes of 1970 and 1971 who are celebrating their 50th reunion this year in 2020 and then 2021. I'm sure many of you can't believe that it's been 50 years since then. I know for me, it feels like I went to college a long time ago, but it's not 50 years ago, almost. Like I said, out of all the events I plan, reunions are really my favorite. So please reach out to me. I'm your resource at the Alumni Association if you have any ideas about how we can continue the celebrations into the next year and beyond. So a few reminders for tonight's program. Please keep yourself on mute unless you're asking a question. That way we can just minimize some background noise. For that, that's going to be in the bottom left of your taskbar to mute and unmute yourself. The program will be recorded and we'll send that out in a post-event email so you can reference this painting again, share it with your friends. And also feel free to get to know each other in the chat box, which is in the bottom center. Share where you lived on campus. I was trying to find a list of dorms that were open back when you guys were on campus, so I'd love to hear. And then also I've created a playlist for this evening as you guys got a preview when you entered the room. Sorry, my dog is also in the background. And so if you have any special requests, songs that you want to hear from when you were on campus in College Park or concerts that you attended, let me know and I'll add them to the queue. So before I introduce our student artists tonight, I was curious to hear where everyone was coming from and learn a little bit about our audience tonight. So I have a few poll questions. If you don't see this poll pop up, it might be in another window kind of behind your Zoom. So I'd love to know what activities you were involved in when you were a student on campus. If you can't access the poll, feel free to add them to the chat box as well. Okay, we have like about half of our responses. I'll give it a few more seconds. All right, looks like everyone has voted. So let's see. It looks like other was our biggest category. So I'd love to know what other types of activities you guys were involved in. Feel free to throw that into the chat box. Looks like we got some Res Life people here, academic societies, music and arts. I'm super excited to see where you guys were all part of when you were on campus. All right. Oops, let me do number 2 here. All right. How many times have you been back to College Park since you graduated? Okay, interesting. Almost everyone. Give it a few more seconds. Okay. It looks like we have some locals in the area, but then a few people who've only been back a few times. So hopefully maybe when sports resumes or when we can have some more in-person events, I'd love to see all of you back in College Park. And there's so many new great restaurants, new bars in the area. It's a lot of fun. All right. I have one more question. Now, I know Terp families are huge. So anyone else in your family attended UMD? I didn't say whether your parents attended here or not, but maybe you come from a long line of Terps. All right. It looks like we're kind of split about 50-50, where people where they were the only one in their family to come here, and then other people have a family full of Terps. And if you met your spouse here, I'd love to hear from you because we're going to do a big series in February for Terps in Love. So we'd love to hear about you guys and how you met on campus. All right. So those are all the questions I have. Feel free, share more about yourself, put more questions in the chat. We can't be in person to kind of mix and mingle, so feel free to use that to connect with one another. So I want to go ahead and get started so we have plenty of time, and I will let our student artist, Sarah, actually introduce herself. Sarah, take it away.
All right, everyone. Hello, my name is Sarah. I am a senior currently, public health science major from Bethesda, Maryland, so Montgomery County. I went to Walter Johnson High School, if we have any local Montgomery County people. And on campus, I've been an orientation advisor. I'm part of the Student Alumni Leadership Council. I am part of Alpha Phi Omega, which is the co-ed service fraternity. I am part of the Honors College, so I am a TA for 3 classes actually in the public health department and in the Honors College, and an assortment of other things. I studied abroad last semester in Rome, actually, through Maryland and Rome. I don't know if study abroad was a big thing in the 70s, but it was cut short, unfortunately, because of coronavirus. But Rome was beautiful, and I love UMD. I love seeing people who have graduated from UMD, hearing from you all, and a little bit of art background. I am clearly like pre-med, public health science, but I use art to relax all the time. I recently for Christmas actually got a like really nice watercolor set. So I really like to watercolor. We won't be doing that today, but normally I love to watercolor. And yeah, I just genuinely think everyone has the potential to do art. It just comes in different forms, whether that's classic art, really good, whatever, or just your own way of doing art. So yeah, I'm very excited to do the drawing today. I'm actually going to send it in the chat. So Mary, should we start the painting process? You're on mute. Oh shoot, wait, you're on mute.
All right. Also, this is my dog as well. He'll be joining us for certain parts of the program. But if you guys have any music requests, like I said, I'm going to restart the playlist, and then I'll pull my screen up so you can see the side by side of what the Testudo looks like.
Perfect. All right, sorry, I was reading the chat, so I got distracted. That's so nice, Miss Evans Mott. That is so kind. And also Blair, I would play basketball there all the time. It's so close to my house. All right, so this is what we will be drawing. I'm gonna do like a little variations to it to make it maybe a little more colorful if we can, and also maybe like some calligraphy to the side. But yeah, I want to send it in the chat just in case at any point you get lost with what I'm drawing, because it's kind of hard to put it onto the, like, project my screen correctly. So I think it'll be nice to have the picture of it. All right, so without further ado, I have this whole setup over here. I hope I can paint okay in this angle, but let's see. Okay, let me put it in the chat real quick. So I sent the link of the image in the chat, so you can open that on your browser if you want. And let's get started. Okay. So does everyone have their painting materials right now? You want the little palette, you want your brushes. I'm going to use different, oopsies. You want the different sizes of brushes. And then of course your paints. And then I also have a cup of water for when I want to change colors with the same brush, and some paper towels so that I can dry the brush before using the acrylics. Okay. And if at any point you want me to slow down or repeat something, I'll have the chat open so that I can see. But all right, and I'll move the canvas closer when I do stuff so that you can see it. Okay, so first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on the black paint because I want to outline everything before we start really getting into the painting process. So I am going to take some black paint and put it into my palette. Oh, you have to poke the palette open, I just realized, or the paint open. Oop. Let me get a pen. Sorry, everyone. I gotta open this. I just take a little pen and I poke it open in case anyone needed some help with that. All right, that worked. Okay, put some black on that palette. And Mary, if you want to put on some music too. Some relaxing music as we paint. All right. Use the cap to open it. Yes, that was very smart and I should have known that. I definitely just blanked out on that. Good idea. If anyone hasn't opened it yet, just use the like the opposite part of the cap to poke it open. All right, so I'm just gonna put the smallest amount of paint on and I'm gonna start with the outline of the shell. Hold on, I'll move this a little bit closer. Okay, so I'm just gonna do the curved back of the shell first. And I will show it afterwards. And don't use too much paint because you don't want it to like take too much time to dry out. All right, so I drew the little curve of the turtle back, and now I'm gonna draw the rest of the shell too. Just a little, almost like a lunar shape. I'm gonna give it another line below too, so I'll bring it closer to show you all, but just some space in between. So it'll look like this. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna move on to the head and the neck. Hold on, don't use pencil to draw first. Yes, 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 perfect. So I drew with a pencil just so that I wouldn't mess up on camera and embarrass myself. But I think if you just follow what I do, it shouldn't be too difficult to just do it with paint first. But of course, feel free to do it with pencil if that's easier for you first. I'm gonna move on to the head. So draw a little neck and then the shape of the head. It'll definitely help to have a picture of Testudo up so that you can follow it a little bit better than what you see on my screen. And the mouth. And when you draw the mouth, make sure to leave space for the little tongue coming out. So this is how I drew my head. Oh, beautiful. I see yours, Mary. Yay, we're doing it. Okay, I'm gonna do the lower part of the head now. I'm gonna give him like a little jawline. We want to make Testudo handsome, of course. And then draw that part of it. Okay, perfect. And I'm gonna connect the neck down a little, just a small little line. Awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna draw the limbs because, or at least the front limbs, because then we can draw the belly of the turtle underneath. and kind of give it some spatial dimension, if that's the word. All right, so I'm gonna start with this leg below here, and I drew it out in pencil, but I'm just gonna do that. All right. And he has like 3 little toes coming out of the bottom. Just like that, and then bring it up back to the shell. Perfect. So that is a leg. Pretty simple. And now I'm gonna do this arm that connects to the big M. I actually love this song. And we'll add little details to it later to make it look more. Like here, I'll add a little line here. And as you can see, if you kind of do these like little lines inward, it kind of gives it almost like a muscular shape. I don't know if you can see that tiny little line going in. It just gives it some dimension to the arms. So this is what I have so far. Woo! I'm so happy everyone's following along. I hope I'm not going too quick. This is seriously the highlight of my week, honestly, because I have a really terrible midterm week. And I have 3 exams, 2 yesterday, 1 tomorrow, 2 papers, a bunch of projects, and I've been looking forward to a nice paint night to kind of blow off some steam. All right, so next I'm going to do the belly of the turtle now that we have these 2 important limbs done. So all I'm gonna do is connect it from this part of the foot up to the neck that we drew. So let's just go for it. Oops. And don't worry if it's like a shaky line like what I'm doing, because it'll look good at the end. All right, belly drawn, everyone. We'll get into the details of the belly later. All right, let's do some facial. Actually, no, let's do the other limbs first, and then we'll get to the face, because if some of you choose to kind of fill in the face and the body, I don't want to make you have to paint over that again. So let's do this arm now, or let's do this little leg right down here. I have it drawn. And it's just gonna be a little 2 toes coming out of each other, kind of. So. Boom. Just like that. All right. And now let's do this last arm. Oh my God, this is going quicker than I thought. Last arm, and that arm is gonna come above that M that we'll draw right after, but it's just gonna go right here, and then make sure you give it those little lines to give it some dimension. So I'm gonna go for it. And then the bottom part. All right, and then this little fist that Testudo has. Perfect. And then I gave it 3 little fingers, and then kind of like a thumb over here. I don't know how to describe that. All right, and I'm not gonna do any shading in it yet, just so that we can color it in if we want to, but that is the arm. I hope I'm not going too slow either.
I'm kind of impressed with myself.
I know, this is turning out well, everyone. I hope it's not, it's getting translated. All right, so now let's move on to this big M. And this part is just hard because the straight lines always get me. Like proportions with block letters for some reason always trip me up. So just take your sweet, sweet time. So I'm going to do the inner lines that I have here because then I'll shade later. But I'm going to start with this line going across right here from the arm. And this line already exists. And then I'm going to do the little, I don't even know what this is called, indent. And then come down. Perfect. And then another little indent. I'm sure they have a real name, but my public health science degree didn't teach me. A little bit more about myself, I guess, while we do this M. I, again, am pre-med, trying to hopefully get into the public health route of medicine. So I'm thinking about maybe doing something like AmeriCorps. For my gap years, I'm taking 2 gap years after college, especially with COVID. I definitely want to just take my time and let the world kind of regain its strength again, and hopefully volunteer as a medical volunteer in either like Philly or San Francisco. And then I would love to do something involving, oh yes, yes, they're called serifs. Thank you so much to whoever just said that. I knew they had a name. But anyways, yeah, I hope to get into women's health someday and just helping communities who definitely need more doctors in them. All right, I'm going so slow with this M, everyone. I'm sorry. I will speed it up a bit. So another serif. See, I learned something today too. Thank you. All right. Last one. And up. And then right under his arm here, there's like a little V shape. So I'm just gonna do that too to complete this M. And there we go, we have the M. So now we have most of the outline done actually. I want to paint in everything and then maybe, I'm a little bit worried about dry time though. The indents are called serifs. You're most welcome. That's a benefit of English literature BA. Got it, UMD. Yes. See, that's why the public health degree didn't teach me. All right. So actually, I want to get your votes. Do we think we want to color in? Because on the image that I sent, it's just white for the face and the belly. So we could just leave it white, or we could go ahead and just like do some brown, I guess, is what Testudo would be. Up to everybody. I don't know. Maybe could we do a poll?
Make a poll, or feel free to just shout out your answer under yourself.
Yeah.
We'll go for the majority.
I'll give like a couple minutes for
Can you show us where you would add color in case we want to, and then we can choose?
So actually, yeah, we could go ahead and do the red stuff first, actually. And while people think about that, because that, yeah, let's do the red first. Let's do the red first. All right. So I am going to wash off my brush and use a different brush actually, and add some red paint to my palette. And I'm going to use this red. It's the scarlet one. And this time I will use the cat method. I'm trying. You have to push hard. There we go. I got it. All right. Let's get this red going. So the parts of the turtle, or of the testudo that will be red, I'm going to do the big M first, and then we'll move on to the shell and the tongue. So I'm going to grab this brush. It's the bigger one, but you can use any of them. You all know what you're doing. All right, and let's get this red going. And if it mixes with the black, don't worry. Mine like is kind of mixing, but just go in with more red and it should go away. This angle is tough, to say the least.
Here's my story, it's sad but true. It's about a girl that I once knew. She took my love, then ran around with
Sarah, I'm curious how online classes are going for you, especially as a sciences major.
Good
Like,
question.
yeah.
Okay, online classes, to be honest, for me have not been going too badly because I think I'm someone who very much goes to lecture and doesn't listen to a word and then just goes back and watches the recording. So I'm being honest here. I hope none of you are ever my professors. But I have not minded the lecture part. I would say though, as a science major, the labs have been so tough to do online because all you really do is just watch the lab happen in a video and then do a report based on the results and what you see in the video. So that has really taken away the fun aspect of all my labs because here I am doing a physics lab online with like videos of physics and the fun part of actually getting to do that lab portion is gone. So that has definitely been difficult. But I have to say my professors have been so accommodating with online things, like making less exams and having things undated so that we can just go at our own pace. So I've been really, really happy with, I guess, UMD professor responses to the pandemic and online learning.
skinny fool like she ever knew to say, I keep away from a runaround Sue. I played at her.
All right, I'm almost done here.
I know what she'll do. Keep away from Sue.
I hope my lack of art skills are comforting to everybody so that you don't feel like you're lacking. All right, I'm trying my best. Here we are. So I have, ooh, I moved my little laptop screen down. Okay, it looks better in person. Honestly, it looks worse in the video. So I finished the M and now I'm gonna go ahead and do the shell. And for the shell, I'm gonna try to do like a thin layer of red because we're gonna go back and do that black pattern. And I guess you could go back after this call and do the black pattern if you don't want the paints to mix, but I'm gonna do a thin layer so that I have enough time to let that dry a bit and do it. So I'm just gonna paint the whole shell red actually, including that little indent in the middle that we have. All right, I'm gonna need more paint. I need more paint. Also, I don't know if anyone's come to campus recently, but the amount of construction on campus right now is so wild to see because I still go on campus to study and stuff. And there's new dorms getting built on North Campus. I lived in La Plata, by the way, as a freshman, and there's 2 new dorms in front of La Plata, and then there's all like the Cole Field House is getting built. If you have visited in the past few years, you could have seen that one. But it is just wild to see how much is going to be done, I think, in the next few years and how different the school is going to look even for me when I come back. Okay, I'm gonna try to reach this. All right, and then this little thing in the middle. I'm gonna call this an abstract testudo at this point. Okay. And then while I'm at it, I'm gonna do the tongue as well. And then the tongue is just this little kind of diamond banana shape in the middle. You can see it in this picture. All right.
Keep sharing your song requests. I'd also love to hear if there were any cool concerts or cool artists that came to campus. I was looking at my dad's old yearbook, and every major artist that you'd have to pay $400 for a ticket for, like, came when he was on campus for free. So I'd be super interested to hear.
Alrighty. Are we good? Mary, are you done with your red?
So I just give up, and I'm gonna restart later. I did my outline.
It's you left it beautifully.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that what I'm gonna do, since it's 5:35, is just do the detailing of it, and then maybe you can go around. Right now, as I painted red over the black, it worked fine. So I think it'll be fine if we just do the black detailing first. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I think I'm just gonna go for that.
Go ahead. I was ROTC, but my wife and I just sat on the wall along Route 1 watching the demonstrations.
Yeah, I was, as I said, I was in one of the fraternities. We were filming a thesis, film thesis for a senior, and the National Guard came around the fraternity house. They peppered, and then everybody was shut in. The next morning, I wore contact lenses then, and I stupidly picked up a pepper can, looked at it because it was so interesting, and then I went and put my eyes in my contact lenses, and I started screaming from the pain, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then I realized I had the pepper spray all over my hands, and I had to go without my lenses for a week or more. But yeah, it was a challenging time.
Thank you
Well,
so much for sharing. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to say that my group wasn't very political, and we were playing a softball game up the hill, you know, those fields up there. And so stuff was going on Route 1, and the umpire said, do you guys want to join it from either side or whatever? And we said,
There he is, John.
we said, let's play softball.
Well, this
We
is
were not-
Carolyn, and
We,
I was in Caroline Hall down the hill from the dining hall, and we had to wet towels and put them over our heads and faces in order to walk to the dining hall because there was so much tear gas everywhere on the campus.
And I was in the trailers, and they brought around a pepper spray. Gosh, I don't know what you'd call it. It was it actually kind of like was on a flatbed truck and was spraying heavily around. They went all around the fraternity row, and a lot of it came blasting in between the buildings into the trailers. And yeah, we could there was a lot of coughing going on for a couple of minutes until it cleared out.
I was student
Yeah.
teaching at that time at, where was I? Somewhere in DC, Coolidge High School. And I and a colleague got out of school, and he kind of signaled to me something was going on at campus. That was, if I'm right, that's when Kent State happened. So we go back to campus, and I kind of was kind of watching from the side. I was kind of in a mixed situation there. I had been involved in ROTC and was at the beginning of the war, so I was kind of in that in-between status and kind of watched what went on from, I guess, just above the area that was happening, and then eventually was escorted off campus by some of the National Guard people. They were very pleasant about it. It wasn't that bad. And then went home that weekend and visited Sunny Surplus and bought my first and only gas mask.
Yeah, we of course the press knew what was happening, and when it started, we were in the middle of filming, and somebody started to yell, "Get in, shut the windows, bar everything, they're peppering us." And a reporter got pushed into the fraternity house, and it was it was quite an event. So we have memories these youngins know nothing about.
Nothing. I didn't even, when you typed that, I was like, Route 1 closure? Like, what? When did Route 1 close? Route 1 closed because of a flooding a couple months ago. I thought you were talking about that.
But one thing that happened with as the demonstrations continued is you started having people involved who had no connection with the anti-war stuff at all, and were just jumping in. There was an outside chance, which turned out to be 100% chance, that they closed the school down early. So
Yeah.
I missed out on exams. I was a senior at the time, so I wasn't getting any benefit from that.
Well, thank you everyone for sharing.
Yep.
It's an interesting time being a college senior right now with the election happening and the protests happening. It has been, and when the first election with Trump and Hillary happened, I was a senior in high school. So I've had these 2 senior years that are full of politics and everything, which has been, I like being a senior during this time. So as someone who's near DC and is political, like I really do enjoy having the opportunity to go to protests in DC, to get so politically active around here. Everybody loves to talk about politics. It's something I really do love about Maryland.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many parallels. You be on campus 50 years later to what everyone was just talking about. It's pretty cool.
Mr. Jago, yours looks amazing. I'm seeing it right now, and you really animated it. I'm so impressed.
I'm working on it.
That really looks awesome.
He has a
Okay,
personality.
in the meantime, I added some little details with the leg, and I put this line through the belly and put some little marks that you can see on the image, and then some dots around it. And then I also did the face. Yes, Mr. Oh, Mr. Wheeler, that's awesome. All right, so I am going to do the details on the shell now, which is going to look like this since my red paint dried. We have about 15 minutes, so I think I'll do that, and then I'll just do the little mark that I drew up here saying class of, and you can write your class at the top. So that will be my final little details. But if anyone else wants to talk about something during their years through the chat, that was really interesting to hear, especially for me. But I'm reading through that. Oh, wow, the chat is interesting right now. I was in the VU drinking beer. I've heard about the VU. All right, let's do this.
I heard about the VU. Yeah.
This is Iris. I don't remember exactly what day it was, but I was taking analytical chemistry and I called the professor and he answered the phone. And I said, is the lab open? And he said, if I'm here, the lab is open. So I spent the day in the lab.
That's the chemistry department for you.
Yep. And as big a campus as it was, somebody else I knew came in and went to McKeldin Library and didn't know anything else was going on campus.
It has been so difficult, I have to say, not being able to go to McKeldin to study. Like, I would lock myself in the fourth floor study room. I don't know if you all had it. It's the silent room that kind of looks like a Harry Potter room. And I would sit there and it was almost like punishing myself if I went there. Like, that's when I would stay up all night and write a paper. I really miss going there.
Yeah, I love the streakers too. Who said that?
Oh, yeah.
Bronwyn.
Streakers. Oh my God.
You know the politically incorrect story about Testudo, right?
I don't.
Virgin, if it won't fly away if a virgin never graduates from Maryland or something like that.
Wait. I did not catch that.
If a virgin graduated from Maryland, Testudo would turn upside down. So my friends and I went down into a bunch of our friends went down into a basement of one of our friends and made a paper mache turtle. And we put it where the turtle was, upside down. And then we walked by all day waiting for people to gawk at it, but not a whole lot of people gawked at it. And of course, the Diamondback wouldn't put an article on it because they didn't want to encourage such shenanigans, I guess.
Oh my goodness. That is not at all a telling now. I've never heard that before. I have to tell my friends. I will immediately tell my friends after this call.
I was reading back through y'all's yearbook and some of the parties and themes that you had, especially the Greek life houses, sororities, we would not be able to get away with, but they were absolutely hilarious. And I enjoyed looking through all of those crazy antics.
Yeah.
Blackface parties. Crazy epic parties.
Things are pretty strict, especially now.
We had Jane Fonda visit the campus.
I love Jane Fonda.
Oh, jeez.
This part's hard with
She
these
was not,
brushes. Sorry.
she was not very popular during that time.
I don't know who she is actually. Jane
Really?
Fonda?
Jane Fonda.
This is pre-workout.
Oh,
I know, this is embarrassing. I'm so sorry.
that's okay.
Probably
I
don't.
have to say though, I've known more songs on this playlist that's been playing than I thought I would. So I really didn't think I was gonna know many.
Jane Fonda was very dynamic.
Dynamic is a good word.
And very young.
And she's still very active.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had an interview earlier this year. She's still quite active.
I should definitely look into. Is she a singer?
No, she's an actress and an activist.
Oh.
Who's that?
You may have seen her. She was getting arrested like every day this summer.
She did.
Maybe I know who she is and I'm just
I'll send
blanking
you.
on names. I'm also just bad at names. So.
Yeah, she doesn't look her age.
Oh wow.
Never saw
And
Barbarella.
she's got a cable TV show now. Oh Lord, I can't remember the name of it. With Lily Tomlin.
Oh, that's
And you
right.
don't know
Frankie.
Yes.
Frankie and somebody.
Frankie and yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah.
Grace and Frankie.
Oh, I
She
saw
was-
The
that
young
episode of
people
Grace and
say
Frankie.
they don't know Lily Tomlin also. I can
Can't believe that.
One ring
Yes,
again.
we're showing our age.
No, I'm showing my age. I should be embarrassed. I should be embarrassed.
no, not at all.
All right, so this is what I have so far, everyone. Oh my God, the time went so quick. I have the little the pattern on the turtle back. If everyone wants to show yours, yes, these look so
No.
good. Mr. Sirkin, that looks awesome. I love it. All right, I think I'm gonna finish off. Oh my goodness, it is so lovely seeing these. Wow, this is great. Okay, so I'm gonna do this final little signature of class of, and then you can put your class that you graduated, or you can really sign anything up there. I just figured I would do class of 2021 since I'm.
If I could improve it, I would have sent out a template to
Let
everybody
people-
to trace it or something, or at least.
Yeah, that would have been better for us.
I mean, we didn't even know what turtle we were drawing.
I wanted to show people what my wife, who's an iconographer, this is the kind of work she does.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Yeah, she's an artist. I painted the sides of garages.
That is
Wow.
so beautiful.
That's what mine looks like.
That is so beautiful.
That's the way your turtle looks? Yes.
Doesn't like a turtle.
Yeah, I do apologize for my lack of unique artistic ability. All right. And if anyone wants me to move this closer again, I totally can. I understand it must be really hard for you all to see this easily. All right, I got class done.
Like I said, this is being recorded, so you can go back and reference this, and I'll send the image as well out in a follow-up email.
Okay, class of. I will definitely go after this video and like outline everything and make it darker and all that too. I think this was just a quick little painting to do first.
Oh, Lewis, one of my favorite parts of homecoming is when the band alumni join in with the current students and march through in front of Riggs. And I'm so sad we couldn't see that this year.
I never got back for any of those, but I love the idea of it.
Yeah, and all of them jump in like no practice. You guys
Yep.
have played the song so many times.
That's the fun part about being in a group. You can either be heard or not if you want to.
Right. You just move your fingers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right. So here it is. Here is the masterpiece. You can of course go ahead and fill in Testudo. Oh my goodness, I really do love seeing all of these. You can go in and paint Testudo brown if you want to add more color in it. You can put anything on the outside. I genuinely enjoyed hearing from you all. I learned so many more new things than I even expected. These activities and get-togethers are always so wonderful. And yeah, that is really all I have.